I've reached a point in life where I would honestly rather fail in life than have to pretend to want to be around other people. It's just not, it's not doable for me. There's different types of people, and I'm not assuming that everyone is like this because most people are not, but I feel like I'm not the only one that is like this. But the type of person I am is I just can't, I can't put up with fakeness. I can't put up with acting as though I'm interested in something in order, even if it means that it might help me get ahead in life with something that I'm trying to achieve. Like, I just can't do it. I'd honestly rather fail and not amount to anything in life if it means that I don't have to play the game of being everyone's friend. That's for some people, but it's just not for me. Like, I just can't. It's really hard for me to put on a front, I guess, in social situations. I could never do well in, I don't really do well in most social situations to begin with, but I certainly wouldn't be able to work my way up, charm my way up the ladder, so to speak. And I don't know if made the decision is the best way of describing it, but I guess I've just discovered that about myself, is that I can't do it. I'd rather just not really do anything substantial than have to play a clown character for the rest of my life. Like, I just want to live on my own accord. For the most part, I just want to be left alone. And obviously I have to make a living, and I have to not be, I don't want to be at poverty level. But I can no longer put up with this way of living that requires me to change myself in order for other people to like me, in order for me to be like to go up the ladder, I guess. I wonder if any of you feel that way too. Like, you have to find what works and what doesn't work for you personally, because this might not apply to you, which is fine, but for me it's like I just can't compromise, or I don't know, I just don't really work well with people. And I honestly want to find a way to exist without, to exist and to thrive with needing the least amount of interaction with other people. And I certainly don't want other people determining my existence. And that acknowledgement gives me strength, and ironically will probably help me be more successful. Like the type of person I am, my path is going to be a solitary one. And I'm going to find any way that I can to live by my own accord. And if that means not being substantial or anything, that's okay. I've come to grips with that, or I've accepted that, because it just doesn't make me happy, and I'm just gonna be miserable my whole life if I'm living to try to be as highest potential as possible in the most conventional sense. I'm completely all about self-improvement, and I want to develop as a person always. But for me, it's like, in order for me to develop as a person, I have to have space. And I certainly don't do well in a work environment that is like a corporate or hierarchical situation. You know, that's for some people, but it's certainly not for me. And that's fine, because I think in society, people like me will fit, because I will end up doing something that sustains myself. And in order to sustain yourself, you need to, you naturally just do something that people need, you know, society needs. And I will find that thing through my own path. For the longest time, I thought that I wanted to be somebody, but I think I'm realizing that that's just what I thought I should be, or thought I should do. And I thought that that's what will make me happy. But through life experience, it's just not, I'm not cut out for it. And that's why life experience is so important, because you find out what works for you. You can think that you want to do something, but after doing it for a period of time, you can surprise yourself. But that's the great thing about life experience, is that because you're finding what you truly want and what truly makes you happy, and you have to be open to it not being exactly what you plan. And that's why trying to plan everything just doesn't work. You have to do and act and take risks and fail, and that's the only way that you can find out who you are. Yeah, like, I only live once. I only have this one life, and I'm tired of living it how I think I should be living it, and I need to live it how I truly want to live it, or I need to figure out what I truly want, how I truly want to live it. And I need to pay attention, by paying attention to what works and what doesn't work, even if that means giving up on previous endeavors or changing course. So be it. I think at the end of the day, we're all kind of made to be one thing or another, And we just need to figure out what it is that we're made for through trial and error. And a lot of it's predisposition, I think. What we were born with. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because I still stand by, if you want to be something, you can become it. But the question is, do you want it or not? For me, it's like the goals that, or the so-called dreams that I've had since I was younger, as a naive, inexperienced person, that has nothing to do with putting in an action and doing things and figuring out what works for you. It's completely different. The actual action and doing things and experience is completely different than trying to imagine how things are, because if you're imagining how things are, you're basing it off of what other people think and other people's experiences, and your experience is not going to be the same. It's going to be some unique thing. So I'd rather take the risk of not amounting to much than to take the path of normalcy, in the sense that I'm just not going to try to chase what isn't my own strengths, or I'm not going to chase my weakness, because I think that at some level you just need to accept your weaknesses, and that's how we are. We're human. We're not going to be perfect. So embrace your weakness, embrace what doesn't work for you, and find what does, and then just chase that. And if that means, if you spent years of your life cultivating a skill or something and it just ends up not being something that works for you, then so be it. It's whatever, really. And the more time that you dwell, the more time you spend holding on to something that doesn't work for you just because you spend a lot of time or a lot of money on it, on that path, the more time you're just going to be wasting. More of your life you're just going to be wasting. It's a wasted life. It makes you no better than the salaryman who keeps his dead-end job that's killing him on the inside and on the outside, just because it's safe, right? I think, because if the path that you're taking is like creative or alternative, and you think that you're thinking outside the box, but you're just not the type of person to think outside the box, you're doing the equivalent of what a creative thinking outside the box type person is doing when they keep a 9-to-5, if that makes sense. Like, you have to realize that not everyone is meant to be creative outside the box thinkers. Like, for some people that's just hell. For me it's hell, in a lot of aspects. Like, I'm a creative person, but I'm not like I'm creative in the sense that I can take things that already exist and put them together and, mix and match, or, I'm crafty, I guess, but that doesn't make me a visionary. I don't have any vision. I don't have any, that's just not my strong suit. So for example, if I pursue like a super creative, original path, I'm just gonna be in hell, and that's kind of what I've been in, thinking that that's what I need to be doing, just because I don't want to be working a 9 to 5. It doesn't mean that you have to do a complete 180 and do the exact opposite, which would be, carving your own unique path that no one's ever done before. Like, you don't need to do that. There's levels to this shit, for sure. There's infinite levels. You just need to find what sort of combination that works for you. In a way, being completely unique and completely original is very trendy. Use your free will. Use your gifts that you were given, whatever that may be, and or don't, honestly. Because sometimes the gifts that we were given just don't work for us. Like, let's say you grew up in an environment where you learned the piano, and you're an amazing pianist, but you're not a musical person. You're just you would be much happier as a car mechanic. And your parents, they got a piano, and you have all these keyboards, and you have this whole like collection of shit that you've accumulated, because your whole childhood you were like the musical person because of your environment, or it was fun when you were young. Might be a nice hobby. It doesn't have to be your path, though. Like, you could end up just being like a chef or something. Like, you don't have multiple lives. You don't have, like, you might think that you're like, oh, well, I don't have time to switch gears, I need to stick to what my strong suit, because, I can already play the piano, so I have to stick to it. Like, that's not true. In fact, you're wasting your time if you don't care about it, because the people who do care about it, they're going to surpass you anyway, career-wise, because they're going to be putting in the hours, and you're going to be forcing yourself you're going to be making yourself put in the hours, and that's completely different than doing it naturally. It's better to be someone who has no musical background, who loves making music and picks shit up and doesn't even know how to play the piano. They'll just figure it out. They'll figure something out. If you want to do something, you'll figure it out. Doesn't matter where you came from. But if you grew up with something that doesn't work for you, even if you're like a genius at it, you don't need to do it. If it doesn't bring you joy, you don't need to do it. Just because it's easier and you might, you know, in your mind, it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm ahead of some people, which, by the way, you're probably not as ahead as you think you are. Just because you were gifted or talented as a kid in high school or whatever at something, you were an artsy person or you got a scholarship or something, it doesn't mean that you're so ahead of everyone else. Just because you're ahead of your peers in school, those are just random people. Once you're placed in like if you go to a music college, for example, you'll find out right away how insignificant or mediocre you really are. And that's a reality check for a lot of people, is finding out that they're just, you know, once they get into a bigger pool, the bigger pool of life, and they see all the people, or you start competing with the people who actually make a living with this shit, whatever it is that you do. You're gonna be in for a treat if you think that you're like special. So knowing that, you should just let it go if you don't like it, if you're not all about it. If you don't do it naturally, it's fine. Maybe it's just not for you. If you have to be forcing yourself to do something every day, forcing yourself, like there's a difference between not being a disciplined person and just doing nothing, and being a disciplined person who gets up the same time and goes to bed the same time and gets your chores done. But you have to force yourself to sit down and do that thing that everyone was telling you that you're great at. It's probably not for you. And if that means being I don't know. If that means working as a sous chef or clerk or something completely different than what you grew up doing, like a mathematician or something, like if it brings you joy, then you should do it. You only have one life. And it doesn't matter that you spent the first half of it doing something that ended up not being something for you. Most people are like that anyway. Like how are you supposed to know what you want at a young age? So yeah, don't feel discouraged. Know that that's normal. Know that it's normal if something's not working for you, it's normal to shift and to pivot to something else, and you should pivot. You should pivot as much as possible, because you might be saving a lot of time. And if you find the thing that actually works for you, once you find that thing, you will thank yourself every day that you made that decision to give up that previous thing that you thought that you wanted because everyone was telling you you were so good at it. Yeah.